wanted to ask a question. In your early career,
Mhm.
the folks you flew with, can you describe some of
Yeah.
that Vietnam pilot experience that you garnered?
Yeah, and it's only been lately since I've had a chance to talk on these podcasts that I actually changed the terminology. But when I finished, I went to Pensacola, Navy Flight School in Pensacola, and got my wings, and then went to Mobile, where the Coast Guard has the Aviation Training Center. And I went to, for us, it was advanced helo training. So I went from flying Hueys and Jet Rangers to flying H3s or S-61s, H3s, the amphibious helicopter. And then I went to New Orleans. And there's a lot. I got there in 1976, so Vietnam would have been over a couple of years. And the Coast Guard, because they were short pilots, um, ultimately brought just a cadre of Vietnam pilots in. It was Navy, Marine Corps, and Army, particularly Army. I don't remember any Air Force guys, but the greatest thing is coming out. As you know, when you first come out of flight school, you've got 250 hours or whatever it is you have, and you're all excited as you got your wings, but you know absolutely nothing. You don't want to be left alone in a plane because you're dangerous. And what I found was that these guys, virtually every one of them had been in combat in some way or another. In fact, one of the guy that was my stick mate in Mobile had been shot down 7 times. Had his transmission shot out, had been crash landed on helipads and LZs, and these guys were just phenomenal pilots. So my first couple of years in New Orleans as a brand new pilot, what I always consider it was my apprenticeship in aviation, because I went from, I got 250 hours, I've got a aviator designation, but I really don't know anything. And they trained me in my craft in such a way that I always felt that people after me were disadvantaged because they didn't have that depth of experience, the coolness under fire. Um, I remember one time went out to do an aids to navigation mission where we're just working on a light at the very end of the Mississippi River. There's a big long jetty that goes out there. So if you're facing south, you're looking towards Venezuela, but you can't see it. And there's nothing but ocean out there. So there's no physical reference. So you're trying to hover over moving ocean. It's kind of tough because it's one thing if you're over a runway and you can see a spot down beneath you, but when you got waves going by, it's really hard to stay in one spot, within a foot or two. So this other guy I was flying was a Chinook pilot. He was an Army pilot, and he was I think like my aviation god. This guy could fly the heck out of an airplane. So he was flying over there in the right seat, and he says, "Johnny, you want to give it a try?" So sure, I was still brand new, and back in those days was smoking, and so he gave me the controls, and I think I probably went like 10 feet left, 10 feet right, forwards, backwards, I wasn't even in close because I was looking at moving waves. I couldn't tell. So then he just waited a minute or two, and then he just said, "Johnny, Johnny, Johnny, Johnny," and he smoking his cigarette, and he just grabbed the cyclic and the collective, and it went from being all over the place to just rock steady. And I just looked at that guy and said, I want to be just like him without the cigarettes.